We're just ordinary people living ordinary lives until we see someone on TV win a $25,000 prize. Come on down. I'll play any game for 10 seconds of fame. Come on down. I'll make a deal, just let me spin the wheel. Come on down. To win $1 million, all you need is a little luck and thorough knowledge of multiple disparate trivial subjects.
All right, welcome to an all-new episode of Come On Down, the game show podcast.
Now coming to you from a very small love seat.
A little love seat, because we got nothing but love over here at Come On Down. So we'll probably get some leather squeaks.
Oh no, we might get... Don't move at all for an entire hour.
We've got to hold these microphones that are not meant to be held.
No, they are not. I have a healthy 4 inches maybe for my
I know you
finger
do. Trust me.
Yeah, but it's a healthy 4 inches.
It's a healthy 4 inches. And we've got this little table here that is too thick for our microphone holders to clip onto.
Yes.
So our microphone holders today are our hands.
I have bad news for you.
What?
My arm is already tired.
We are 1 minute in.
I don't work out. This would be a difficult workout if you were just hold a 10-pound weight like this for as long as you could.
Do you think that microphone is 10 pounds, by the way? Do you think a microphone is 10 pounds?
Well, I think it's a healthy 10 pounds.
So you're not even close to 4 inches based on the way you estimate it.
Yeah.
So we didn't do a show last week.
We didn't.
We had some health issues.
Right.
I had some health issues.
Yeah, you had an unhealthy health.
A healthy unhealthy
health. Yeah.
Week. Yeah, I got sick, and you had a live show,
comedy,
a live comedy show. So I couldn't be around you for fear of getting you sick before your show.
Right. Thank God. You always think of other people.
That's what I do. And so I got tested for the vid, which I didn't have.
Nice.
Which I knew I didn't have.
You knew for sure.
I mean, I've had bad colds before frequently. I get them a lot for some reason.
Because you have an unhealthy health.
Thank you. And I knew that it felt exactly the same as it usually does when that happens to me. But because of the world that we live in, I owed it to the rest of the people in it that I didn't go outside again until I tested negative. And I did. Suck it, COVID.
Yeah.
You ain't getting me. You ain't touching this boy right here.
Do you think it's possible that we
I do have COVID now, though.
Have had it and we just never exhibited symptoms?
Like near the beginning or something?
Yeah.
I guess it's possible, yeah.
Because remember, it was like, that's what was so scary about it.
People were like, oh, some people don't have symptoms and they can still spread it.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe that was a lie, though, like a lot of the stuff at the beginning of COVID. Or not necessarily a lie, but just incorrect facts.
But
which
facts are never
which you would
incorrect.
normally call a lie.
Facts are never incorrect, though.
They can be.
Okay.
When Fauci changes his mind.
Ooh.
I'm coming after you, Fauci.
Yeah.
Like the COVID's coming after me. It can't touch me. I can get you.
I farted on so many people and not a single one of them got COVID.
No, because remember, it goes in after you fart. It goes.
I know. I went butt to butt with people and I farted into their butt.
All right. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
It's just like that scene from that movie.
Which one?
The one where they do drugs and she has to do the double-sided nasty to
get... with the song.
I imagine that this happens to us way more frequently than I think, except it happens when we're recording stuff.
What, not being able to think
of
things like that?
Right. Requiem for a Dream.
Thank you. So, today on the podcast, we're going to be thinking of other movies. And we'll get to them eventually. We'll figure them out eventually.
Yeah. If you stay with us, we will get there.
We're talking about a movie star on the pod today. I'll tell you that much.
And television.
Movie and television. A double threat. A dynamo.
And speaking of Requiem for a Dream, also a drug star.
Also, a big fan at one point of that sort of stuff. So, today we're talking about, you've probably guessed it by now, Mental Samurai, which is a show that I learned existed when you texted me, want to do Mental Samurai this week.
Right.
So
what's interesting is I did not mean the show. I wanted to play
you wanted to do a
fun Mental Samurai text game with you.
Oh, wow.
And then found out it was a show.
Well, that worked out really well for us, I gotta say. So before we hop in, we've got an ad. That's titled ad and then 3 in parentheses ...
I think it's because...
Is this your third attempt? Or is this their third attempt at it? Or
what happened
You've
is...
just been using the same file for the last
I keep saving it to the same file name. So I don't give you any hint as to what is in the ad, because I like that you don't get to know what it is.
Okay. Now we'll start it.
Okay.
Hey, Montney, how much do you like sandwiches?
Love
Samesies. I think we're going to both love the new national chain spawning from the wacky country from down under, Australia.
Why should I care about these sandwiches, Baker? I can easily get a sloppy meatball Sammy from Subway, or a Reuben from my local deli, or an iconic chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, maybe a hook and ladder from Firehouse Subs, or a French dip from Le Madeleine.
Do you just name sandwiches very often?
No, all of those are my favorites.
Okay, so you got a lot of favorites. All of these sandwiches have the same boring thing in common. They're right side up.
So?
Our sponsor today, the Upside Down Sandwich Co. takes everything you know about sandwiches and flips it. And on your screen, I see that the Upside Down Sandwich Co. is written upside down. That didn't transfer through the email on the iPad.
Why would I want an upside down sandwich?
Because your life has become the same experiences, and you'll do anything to escape the repetitive cycle of your life that's void of any excitement or substance. Come on down, listeners will receive 10% off their first... Was that enough pause for your ... That
was good. Yeah.
Okay. Come on down, listeners will receive 10% off their first order when you scream "come on down" while upside down into the drive-thru microphone. It makes a different wavelength so they can tell.
Exactly.
Now it's you.
The Upside Down Sandwich Co. Upside down never felt so right. Side up.
Oh. So the conceit here is like the cheese is on beneath the meat on these sandwiches.
You'll have to ask them.
You have the bottom bun on top.
Uh-huh.
It's the flatter.
Right.
You'll have to ask them. All right, I guess I'll shoot them an email. I'll reply.
Make sure that you have the upsideDownSandwichCo.com has to be upside down.
It has
the
to
URL
be upside
bar.
down. All right, so I won't visit it on my iPad. I'll make sure to do it on a computer. So, like we said, today we're talking about Mental Samurai and the movie / television star / drug star, as you said.
Yeah.
That we're referencing is Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe is
the owner of Lowe's.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's obviously what he's most famous for.
Sure.
Is his hardware expertise. But he also, is a little known fact, is an actor. He started off in the 80s, like the very early 80s. He was on a sitcom or something, and then he was in a bunch of movies also.
And he was also with underage girls.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
He was in the Brat Pack. You know about the Brat Pack?
That was the new version of the Rat Pack, which was popular in like the 60s.
Yeah. So the Rat Pack was like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. Just
real ballers.
Yeah. And so the Brat Pack, they were just a bunch of kids. They were young because all those guys were old at the time. The Brat Pack was a bunch of youngins, which included like Rob Lowe and everybody in John Hughes movies. So it was like Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, Molly Ringwald,
Ali Sheedy. And those sorts of people.
Yeah.
And the guy, what's his name, who played the guy from The Breakfast Club.
The guy that was an asshole?
Yeah.
But he was really just trying to get your truth to come out?
Yeah.
I didn't ever buy that. I thought he was just an asshole.
Yeah, but what about this fist thing? Don't you? You know, what about that?
No, but that doesn't do anything.
That didn't make up for it for you?
No.
Oh.
Here's what did make it up for me. The freeze frame. I care about the punch, but once they stopped,
Once they froze you, you're like, oh shit, look at that.
I thought my TV had frozen, and I took a baseball bat to it to get it to restart.
Wow.
So that,
And this was in like the 80s?
right. I could have just taken the VHS out and blown on it,
yeah.
but I had a lot of anger issues as a
Blown on
child. Yeah. Yeah.
You know how you do. So yeah, he was a member of this brat pack. I guess, young Hollywood people.
Hot studs.
Hot, hanging out with each other, fucking, sucking,
Probably.
blowing, doing blow.
On VHS tapes.
Yeah. And controversy with Rob Lowe.
What happened?
In 1988, Rob Lowe was campaigning for Michael Dukakis.
Okay.
You'll remember Michael Dukakis was the 1988 Democratic presidential candidate.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to George H.W. Bush.
Also makes an appearance
election.
in Donnie Darko. But go ahead, continue.
Yes.
The family has that argument.
Maggie Gyllenhaal's character is a big Dukakis supporter in Donnie Darko.
But the dad says, what are you going to do about those taxes?
Yeah. So he lost by a lot.
Why was that?
Because of the taxes. Probably just because Reagan was the president for the last 8 years and everybody liked him and he won like the biggest landslide ever in 84.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael Dukakis had Rob Lowe campaigning for him for the president.
Seems like a winning
for the
ticket.
presidency. The Democratic National Convention that year was held in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And Rob Lowe was
Atlanta.
24. He was hot shit. And he went to a nightclub in Atlanta and met a couple of hot ladies who said that they wanted to go back to his hotel room with him.
And play Yahtzee?
For a little bit of sex.
Oh.
Just a little bit of sex.
What is a little bit of sex? Just a real quick?
No, it's just like not too much. You don't want to overdo it. You've got the Democratic National Convention the next day.
Yeah.
So you want to be on top of your game for that.
You want to be on top of the sex.
So Rob Lowe, as the study was, I guess he had sex with these two women.
Allegedly.
And also definitely had some sex, had some video camera rolling to record the sex. Because, listen, if two chicks wanted to have sex with me, I would also have a videotape rolling because that would be, nobody would believe me otherwise.
And here's the loophole. You give them money afterwards, and it was a business transaction and not illegal.
There you go. But also, if you just don't give them money at all, it's also not illegal because people are allowed to have sex on tape if they want to. You're thinking of like the prostitution thing, how it's weird that you can't pay somebody for sex,
right?
But if you videotape it, then it's a porn and you can pay them to be a performer.
What I'm saying is when you do that and you film it,
which I do,
at a Democratic National Convention,
and I do,
a group of voters get together and they vote whether that was good or not, and then if it was bad, you go to jail.
Okay, well this one, I don't know, maybe it was good, maybe it was bad. I haven't seen the performances, but the women, while Rob Lowe was in the bathroom, they took the videotape and left, and then they tried to sell the videotape because, hey, here's a sex tape of Rob Lowe, and this was like a first. This had never really happened before.
Yeah,
that a celebrity, I mean, well, I guess like. Home video cameras were still relatively new in the 80s. So
every dad had one. Yeah,
exactly. So this was not super common for a celebrity to have a sex tape out there in the wild. And so they released, the women released this sex tape. And like, that sounds like not that big a controversy until one of them turned out to be 16. And
how did she get into that nightclub?
That's a great question. Probably being hot would be my guess.
Wait, hold on.
There's loopholes.
Pause the podcast.
Yeah.
Pause the podcast.
All right, we're not recording.
You're telling me that women
go on.
can circumvent rules put in place for the health and safety
by men
of these patrons of a bar or a club, just with their asymmetrical or with their symmetrical faces?
Yes, they can do absolutely anything by being hot. Doesn't matter what the rules are. If there are rules, if you're hot,
they can murder somebody.
100%.
And I know you're lying because Casey Anthony.
Right, she got away with it.
Did she?
Yeah.
I thought she went to jail.
Nope.
Okay. Barbara Streisand.
Didn't get convicted of all those murders that she did. Never got convicted. Because who's hotter?
Barbara Streisand or Casey Anthony?
No, than anybody. Barbara Streisand. Nobody's hotter than Barbara Streisand.
Okay, you can restart the podcast. I just need a clarification.
We're recording again. So it was like a 23-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Okay, that's weird. That's weird to me that those two girls, because those girls were obviously friends. Those weren't two random strangers that were like, hey, hi, I'm Jessica. Oh, hi, I'm Brittany. Do you want to have sex with Rob Lowe? Oh my God, I would love to. All right, let's go talk to him.
I mean, I think it's possible. I think if you're in...
You think Rob Lowe was just like, you, come here?
Right, yeah, I think that's definitely possible. I think if you are...
And he decided to point to the girl that had a vodka martini and the one that had a Mott's apple juice box.
What do you think 16-year-olds do?
Drink Mott's apple juice.
No, I thought that was the 23-year-old. I thought the vodka martini was the 16-year-old. Because the 23-year-old is
you start to
old
regress
and washed
as you're
up
23.
and way past her prime.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So, I mean, I think it's possible that, like, if you're a famous movie star,
okay, I mean,
that you can bag to
inappropriate
women who don't know each other.
Where did that phrasing come from? Did you literally put women in a bag at one point?
That's how do you think he got him home from the club?
He looks like Santa Claus with the giant sack. Exactly.
He came down his chimney with the girls before the sex. So they independently distributed this sex tape. They couldn't find a buyer because, again, the selling celebrity sex tapes game was relatively new at this time, and the internet wasn't a thing. So you couldn't just upload it to Pornhub or something. So they somehow were just making copies and distributing this for sale themselves.
Like a band.
Exactly.
Like a
amateur they had
band.
It in the trunk of their car. They would just park in downtown and be like, me sucking Rob Lowe's cock right here.
Yeah.
And
we also sell juice boxes out of our trunk.
Mott's apple juice. Actually, just to be clear, you're buying the Mott's apple juice and the tape is free because we can't sell it. So there was some controversy when it came out that the girl was 16 because of the weird way that our laws work. If he wasn't videotaping, it would have been fine for him to have sex with a 16-year-old girl. But
how old was he?
He was 24. But you can't have pictures or videos of somebody under 18. You can only do it with your own eyes.
Then is it technically child pornography then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you can have sex with them, but you can't document it.
You could have sex with a 16-year-old? That wasn't illegal?
The age of consent in Georgia at the time was 14.
14.
So he
could have had sex with a 14-year-old girl
if she was hot enough to get into a nightclub.
Wow. That is bonkers. What is it now?
16. So they raised it to 16.
Progress.
Yes. And so the 18-year-old law for pornography is nationwide, whereas the age of consent for sexual acts varies state by state.
Right, because women in Alabama
they're more mature earlier than women in California or something. Yeah. I don't think there's any state under 16 at this point, though.
Okay.
So you're good. You're safe.
Look, here's what I know. If there was, you'd know about it.
Because you'd move there.
You would know. I really like the job market in South Dakota. What? Why? Nah, I just like it.
So Rob Lowe had that big controversy, kind of blew up in his face a little bit. he kind of became untouchable for a little bit there because of it. Because how could he? How dare he?
Yeah. How dare he videotape it?
Yeah. Fine that he did it. I applaud him for doing it, honestly. But how dare he videotape that? And how dare he let them steal the videotape and try to disseminate it unknowingly. So one of the big first sex tape scandals in the history of American life
was probably with the Puritans.
Was Rob Lowe. You think? You think with like George Washington or something?
They were here first, right? I mean,
some pilgrim sex tape.
And it was with an animal.
Jesus. This is getting weirdly dark.
What's the age of consent for animals?
It's human years divided by 7.
You didn't give me a specific age. You just okay, got it. Okay.
So, Rob Lowe is the host of Mental Samurai now. He's recovered. His career has bounced back.
Yeah, not because of Parks and Rec and the successful movie
The West Wing.
Yeah.
It was mostly because of a couple of Hallmark movies that he did. A Netflix Christmas movie that he did a year or two ago.
And what was the name of that movie?
Christmas in the Wild.
Oh. I mean, I was setting you up for a fun joke, but...
Oh, what? What was the name of it?
Well, no, I was setting you up.
I was supposed to come up with the joke?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, Christmas with a 16-year-old. Is that better?
Yeah, it's better, yeah.
Which is AKA Christmas in the Wild. Kind of synonymous. So, his career rebounded. Actually, mostly due to Wayne's World. It's kind of almost a Neil Patrick Harris situation, although his career was only kind of dormant for a couple years, Rob Lowe. But he got cast in Wayne's World. He was kind of like the villain of Wayne's World. And that was a bit of a career resurgence for him.
Wayne's World was before Tommy Boy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa, was your stomach okay?
That was, I don't know. I burped and my stomach grumbled at the same time. It was weird.
That's impressive.
He was the villain in Tommy Boy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. So which,
by the way,
he was like
smart.
The producer in Wayne's World.
Smart for him to come back
as
in
the
a
bad
villain
guy.
role.
So he kind of like embraced the like making fun of himself for the controversy really quickly. Like he was promoting a movie kind of shortly after the controversy that had come out, and he like went on SNL and made a bunch of sex tape jokes and things like that. So embraced it, didn't run away from it, and got his career back on track. Like I said, he was on The West Wing after that. He was on Parks and Rec. And now, biggest of all, he's the host of Mental Samurai.
Yep.
So Mental Samurai is a show that you haven't heard of, even though it's on network TV currently.
Yeah.
And like it's on Fox. So I watch a lot of like football, and that's on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess to be fair, this show is only aired in the football off season. But I just thought it's weird that I've never seen a commercial for it.
That is weird.
It's weird that I have a game show podcast and I've never heard of this game show.
Right.
That is current and modern and has a couple million viewers per episode, apparently, according to the Nielsen ratings. So this show premiered on March 19th, 2019. It's had 2 seasons so far. It had 1 in 2019.
Rough start date. Actually, probably great for television.
It had a year. You're off by a year.
Really?
Yeah, March 19th, 2019, we were fine and healthy. 2020, we had COVID.
2020 was the bad
So there was
year.
supposed to be season 2 in 2020. There wasn't for some odd reason. ... To be continued. And then they did it in 2021 this year instead.
Okay.
So
they took a gap year.
They took a gap year. So I think that this show being called Mental Samurai doesn't really make any sense to me.
Why?
Because there's nothing remotely samurai-ish about anything that you're doing in the show.
But they have to No, it's all happening here. It's all happening in your brain.
You got to be a mental samurai.
You've got to beat Ava.
You're slicing and dicing
through the questions
in your mind. So the way the game works is very weird. Basically, you're in a carnival ride.
Describe the carnival ride.
So the person is sitting in what they refer to as a capsule.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically a little...
The gyroscope.
A gyroscope seat thing. You've got a shoulder belt on. You're really strapped in there. You've got a couple handles for your hands to grab onto.
Yeah.
Because what happens is there are 4 big vertical screens that they refer to as towers. And each of them is a different category. Mm-hmm. So the 4 categories are knowledge, puzzle, sequence, and memory.
Knowledge seems like the odd one out there. That one seems very broad.
That's just know stuff.
No, you have to know stuff.
You have to know stuff.
Okay.
It's more trivia.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ones are more like mental acuity type of stuff. So you're in this little gyroscopy ball thing. And what happens is you start on your back looking up at the sky. And then the gyroscope thing moves to position you in front of one of the screens, kind of like whips you around.
It's on an arm. It's on like an arm like that has like an elbow.
Big mechanical arm thing. And it twists you and lays you on your back and spins and points you down towards it. So you're kind of on a theme park ride a little bit.
Yeah.
Going between these things. And it looks a little, there's a little bit of a thrill to that. But not like crazy jostling you or anything, just kind of like, whoa, okay, here in front of this next thing.
Right.
And I think they want to make it out like this is some big, difficult thing. The whole point, basically, of the show is like, can you focus hard enough to answer these questions while you're on this crazy thrill ride? Mm-hmm. But again, it moves for like 3 seconds at a time.
Right. And it stops.
Smooth and stops you right in front of where you're supposed to be when you need to be thinking of the thing. And so, I don't know. For me, it didn't seem like, wow, that would really add a curveball there. That would really throw a wrench into my thought process. It's just like, okay, now I'm in front of this thing and I've got to focus on this, because again, you're moving for like 3 seconds at a time,
right?
And it kind of like whips you around a little bit, and you've got to grab onto the thing because
you're strapped in there. You're not going anywhere.
Exactly. There's no fear of like falling. It's not like you've got to hold on or you're gonna slip and you've got to answer these trivia questions, or like on Dog Eat Dog where they're running on a treadmill and they've got to, it keeps getting faster with the questions. Like nothing like that. You're strapped in. You're just sitting there. All you really have to worry about, in my opinion, is the questions.
Well, I was going to say the most stress-inducing aspect of the show is the time limit.
Yeah. So the way the show works, aside from just you're in this little capsule spinning around,
small, not scary ride,
looking at 4 screens, is you get 10 questions and you get 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So you've got 5 minutes to answer the 10 questions. As long as you keep getting them correct. If you miss a question, you lose at that point. You're getting $500 per correct answer. Mm-hmm. And so wherever you miss, you get the money you've earned up until that point. And if you are the first person to go on this episode, so there are 5 people per episode that compete in this capsule. It's called Ava, by the way. It's got a name.
For some reason.
For no reason whatsoever, it has a name called Ava so that Rob Lowe can talk to it and say, Ava, let's get things started, or whatever.
Also, and now my scope of experience with robots talking to you is a little limited.
Right, like Siri and Alexa.
It seems that every single one is female.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because we live in a misogynistic, male-dominated society where we believe that we own robots and we own women. And so it's kind of an unfortunate side effect of the patriarchy.
So I think you have the option to change the voice of GPS from female to male. Have you done that?
So my Siri is a male. Like because I don't want to take directions from a woman.
A British male or a regular?
No.
Or is it like, hi, hey John, take a ride here. Oh, all right, thank you for that.
No, It's a regular mail.
Also, does your GPS thank you when you do
this?
this?
It does thank you when I make the turn. It goes, oh, thank you. Oh, that's it. That's the stuff
Hey,
right
don't
there.
forget to call your mama. She got a nice big old pot of stew for you.
Wow. What GPS do you have?
What? Alabama.
Alabama GPS is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's only 14 years old.
Every time it pops on, I go, I have to ask, how old are you? I'm 12. Nope. Next.
Nope.
Where were you, dude? You were 30 minutes late. I couldn't use my GPS today. I legally couldn't use it.
Not old enough. So, yeah, you've got 10 questions as Ava spins you. Ava asks the questions as well. Mm-hmm. So, by the way, it's just a woman actress. It's not a robot, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I think I've busted this one open. Also, Ava was the name of the girl robot in WALL-E, I think.
Sad movie.
I've never seen it.
It's a sad fucking movie.
All right, I'll watch it tonight. So you're getting $500 per question, but if you get all 10 questions right, that's $10,000.
Okay.
So
now we're talking.
They double it.
Yeah, we're talking a nice Corvette.
Yeah. And so there's 5 contestants going per episode. The first person gets to be the reigning samurai. They set the pace, basically.
Right.
So however many questions they get correct, or if they get all 10, what amount of time they did it in. And they also keep track, like, if you only got 8 or something like that. What you got the 8th question right at 3 minutes and 24 seconds. So the current reigning samurai is 8 questions at 3 minutes 24 seconds. So if I get 8 questions right at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, I'm the new reigning samurai, even if I also don't get the 9th question correct.
Yeah.
So at the end of the episode, or after 4 people have gone, the 5th person is now last week's champion, back to challenge the new reigning samurai.
Yeah.
And so we see if last week's champion can reign supreme again and go into the circle of samurai.
Right. Because samurais are known
for circles.
For what they do is they will get circles of steel.
Okay.
And that's what they carve their ninja stars out of. So
I know circles of steel. So it's a circle. And then they cut pizza wedges into the circle to make it a ninja star or something?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And that's why they're known as circle samurais.
That's why they're known as circle of samurais. So, like I said, the 5th person to go is the reigning champion. And if they win, cool. And if they don't, then the other person does.
Right.
It doesn't make that much of a difference.
And then they get an authentic
me, the viewer, either way.
Samurai leather armor that they use.
Wow.
When they
I missed that part. I guess I turned it off like before the credits.
Yeah.
And that's when they
It's during the credits.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like I said, they go to the circle of samurai. What does that mean? It means that you are the mental samurai, and that you're now playing for $100,000.
Now we're talking about 2 Corvettes.
How do you feel? So wait, $10,000 with 1 Corvette, you said?
Right.
And I just glossed over that without calling you out on it or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, the circle of samurai, and let me tell you, this is crazy. This was crazy to me, the way that this was so cool. I don't know how they thought of this. What they do is the exact same thing, but you only have 4 minutes now.
So you have 1 less minute.
1 less minute, and it's exactly the same otherwise. There are no added challenges. The thing doesn't move you around faster. The questions are basically just as easy.
Yeah.
But you've got 4 minutes now.
But how many cherries do you get to roll?
There are no cherries. The cherries are not wild. So in that sense, it's not as good as the Jason Biggs game show, Cherries Wild.
Okay.
But in other senses, it's about the same level of quality as the Jason Biggs game show, Cherries Wild.
I think that what they have in common is they both do incorporate the judo chop, in the sense that I want to judo chop.
Are you confusing karate with samurai?
That I want to judo chop my fucking face off
when you're watching either of these shows. So Here's some things that I noted about this show. First of all, and so season 1 was filmed in Hollywood, as they do. Season 2 was filmed in Lisbon, Portugal, because Rob Lowe found out that their age of consent is 10. So he moved production over there.
Okay.
I don't know, because of COVID, I assume.
Portugal was just like, oh, yeah, we'll take it. Yep, come.
I think my guess is they could probably get away from some of like the union rules in the U.S. by doing it somewhere else. And then they could like make it seem like, oh, actually, the COVID case rates in Lisbon are much lower.
Yeah.
So we're just doing the safe thing.
They skyrocketed when we moved our show there, but before.
But what I didn't notice, and I'm not sure about this, because I remember when we talked about Name That Tune being filmed in Australia.
Yeah.
It was all American expatriates that lived in Australia were the contestants on the show. I don't know for sure if it was Americans living in Portugal were the only contestants on this show, because it would be kind of weird if they're like flying people across the ocean to compete for 5 minutes on this game show.
And all of them were American for sure. Nobody had accents or
like this episode I watched, there were multiple people from Columbus, Ohio, and I found that a little odd. I mean, I guess
LeBron.
It's like a nice medium-sized city, but it was weird to me that there were 2 out of the 5 people were from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's just where they did their casting.
Maybe. And then maybe there's like a great study abroad program from Columbus to Portugal.
Of middle-aged adults.
Yeah. That want to test their mental acuity while sitting in a little thingy-majigger that spins you around.
Yeah.
Like a state fair.
Well, wasn't there speaking of state fair, can we take a pause and can I tell you my state fair story?
Is this like a news story? Like, are you telling me that you went to the state fair this week or something?
No, I'm telling you.
The Texas State Fair is what you're talking about, right?
Which
is running right now.
It is running right now. I went to the Texas State Fair on a date.
All right.
Which sounds... My intentions were good. I think
in what sense?
That it would be a fun date.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out to be a date that cost me almost $200.
$200
because the tickets are like $30, 20 or $30.
Sure.
We went around dinner-ish time, so we ate there. Food is not cheap.
Okay.
And we rode rides.
How many?
And we also had beers and we drank.
How many dates have you ever been on that you paid for in coupons, though?
And here might shock you, quite a few.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't end well. It's not sexy to hear someone say, hey, I've got a card that some boys sold me in the Boy Scout troop here for the Chili's. I do believe I get a free soda with my Plano football card.
Do you think maybe the problem was that you went on the date to Chili's rather than anything else, any other mitigating factors?
But I had a coupon.
Okay, well, never mind then. But no, you've got to buy 50 cents for a coupon.
Right.
And then a turkey leg costs like 13 coupons or something like that.
Yes.
And
correct.
Now, as of this year, inflation, coupons cost $1 each.
But isn't everything still the same cost?
They claim they're like lowering it, but here's what's going to happen. Like before it was 13 coupons for something. And so, that would be $6.50.
Yeah.
And now they're just going to make it like, oh yeah, it's not 13 coupons anymore. It's 10 coupons or whatever. And you're like, oh, what a deal. It's only $10 instead of $6.50.
Yeah.
So we're all getting screwed.
So I'm on this date, and at the time, you and I were fixing cell phones.
Like as a side business.
Correct. We were
fixing iPhone screens.
We were putting new, cool,
yeah,
updated screens, custom screens.
We're doing like custom backs and like you could put like an LED light in there, make your iPhone, the Apple on the back of your phone light up.
Right.
Cool stuff like that.
And we had gotten a couple of phones. I had an old iPhone at the time, and we got a newer version that we fixed. We fixed the faceplate. But we got to keep that one for some reason.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I'll use that phone as my new phone. Sweet.
Right.
these are the perks of having a business. You just eat the cash on a potential sale and get high on your own supply. And I was on this date with, her name was Laura, and we went on a ride that was this. It would spin around and it would also kind of go on an angle.
Yeah.
And I was wearing H&M pants that had a really weird short pocket, kind of like how if you put your hand in your wife's jean pockets, it's like you can get one knuckle in there. Well, it was on a.
Do you wear your wife's jeans a lot?
Well, I look good in them.
Okay.
And these H&M pants, not only do they have short pockets, the pockets were kind of at an angle, so stuff would constantly fall out of these pockets because of all these things, and they were kind of tight on me, so not a lot of room. So we're on this ride.
And you had a healthy 4 inches.
I had a healthy 4 inches, yeah. And the phone falls out of my pocket and just absolutely is obliterated at the bottom of the ride. Because we were at the highest point of this turn.
Obviously.
I'm up top. I think that's when you're getting pulled around the hardest. Right. Falls out of my pocket, smashes down below. She is laughing hysterically because she's just having fun on the ride. You know, you kind of get the giggles if you're on a scary part of a roller coaster. And I'm just like, fuck, what the fuck? My phone just smashed. And she's like cracking up. She just, she kind of realized something happened. So she's like, what happened? I was like, nothing. It's all good. And then for the rest of the ride ends and the guys give me the phone. They're like, did your phone fall out? And I was like, yeah. They handed it to me. Absolutely crushed. Front and back, just cracked, pieces falling out. And so now I'm on this, I don't know if I'd said this before, first date.
Yeah, you said that.
And I have to be like, oh, whatever. Like, we're having a good time. I don't care that my $500 computer just broke into pieces. It's all good. Hey, do you want to go get a $17 beer? And
34 coupons, please.
And that didn't work out because on our second date, I gave her dog more attention than making out with her. On my second date, I said, let's have a cookie eating contest. So I brought over sleeves of Oreos and we ate cookies.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard this before. Okay. Or I blacked it out. So your first date was at the State Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
where my phone broke and smashed.
Your phone broke. You were in a bad mood because of it. And then you said, she had a good time.
Yeah.
Overall, you still wanted to have sex with her. And so you said,
right,
we should have a second date. And she said, yeah, that sounds fun.
Right.
And then she
said,
second
date might have been movie. So third date.
Okay. You said this is going well. Let's do a third date, which is customarily the sex date.
Well, not sex, but like usually
customarily
make out.
It's the sex date.
Right. Okay.
And so you said, let's do a third date. And she said, that sounds great. I'm having a great time with you. I'm getting pretty warmed up for this third date. And you said, let's do a cookie eating contest. I'll bring the Oreos. That was your idea for the third date?
Correct.
And you were 16?
I mean, I was, mid-20s.
Okay. Right. So that sounds worse.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to.
And I won, by the way.
Oh, did you? What a shocker.
Yeah. I won the cookie eating contest.
You mean a girl on an early date with a guy didn't win a contest that would make her look ridiculous shoving food into her mouth with this guy that she maybe wanted to impress and look hot for?
Look, you've got the perspective to shit all over this. At the time, I was like, I prided myself.
So cute.
I prided myself on having unique date experiences because dating is horrible.
Right.
And I thought it was the same reason that luckily I spoke to your wife. It was the same reason I wanted to do Black History trivia with my wife on our first or second date.
I do remember you bringing that up because it was like your date was on Martin Luther King Day.
Correct.
And I said, I think that's a bad idea.
I'm sorry I wanted to honor MLK and black leaders of our time and
Black
past.
History Trivia, which would be a better game show than Mental Samurai, by the way.
And here was the bad part of it. It was just only white people.
Your Black History Trivia was just questions about white people?
It was like, who was MLK's best white friend?
I think that would be a fun
No, it wasn't. It was going to be respectful trivia. The idea maybe is fine on paper. It was not a good idea.
So what happened with the cookie eating? Sorry, I think we skipped over that. I mean, aside from the fact that you won, which congrats.
Right. I think I gave her dog more attention than I gave her attention.
So she was trying to make out, and
Correct.
you were like, hold on, your dog needs me.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. She had a really cute dog, and I was like, oh, this dog's sweet. And like we were hitting it off really well.
You and the dog?
Yeah. And he was 16.
Okay, well, that's fine then.
It just didn't work out. I just wasn't good at dates. And I was nervous to kiss.
So was that the last one? You were nervous? I was nervous to kiss. I'm going to isolate just that clip right there. You saying, I was nervous to kiss, and make it your ringtone.
I was. It was nerve-wracking because guys are expected to make the first move on stuff like that. And I just didn't have the confidence I have now. I kiss my wife all the time.
What? No.
Yeah. Even when she's like, stop. And I'm like,
I've got confidence now, baby.
I've got the confidence.
You have no idea how many Oreos I could fit in this.
Okay,
a healthy amount of Oreos. I can get down right now. A healthy amount of Oreos.
So that is my State Fair story.
All right. By the way, deep fried Oreos. They've got those at the State Fair.
Yeah. I can only do 2 of those.
Oh, wow. That was what Rob Lowe said. So, Mental Samurai, in the Circle of Samurai, where, like I said, the big twist is that you have 1 minute less to do the exact same stuff as you did the first time.
Yeah.
You're getting $2,500 per question. The questions, I guess I would say, are a little tougher.
Which isn't saying a lot because the initial questions on the first round are pretty easy.
Yes. The 10 questions were not a challenge, in my opinion, at all.
No. I don't consider myself strong in the brain category of life.
I don't consider you that either.
Fuck you. I get to say that. It's like when you make fun of people's friends. You're like, no, I get to make fun of my brain. You don't get to make fun of my brain. And they were easy. They were quite easy. The hardest part was the word. You had to do a word search.
Find, yes. That was the only hard part of the entire thing.
Right.
Everything else was just exceedingly easy.
Because you didn't know the words. Not only did you not know the words, it was also, the hardness of the word search.
You would get to the memory tower, and it would be like, listen to this statement carefully, and then it would be like, Todd is wearing a red shirt when he went to the store today and he was walking down the street and saw people and waved at them. What color was Todd's shirt?
Wave.
Exactly. So yeah, they weren't that hard. Although I watched one in the Circle of Samurai where they got to the memory one. And sometimes in the memory one, they will show 6 pictures.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, hot dog, hamburger, salad, whatever, 6 things.
Yeah.
And then you've got, 5 seconds or whatever to look at it. And then they all go away. And then they just put up numbers 1 through 6 there. And they say, where was the hamburger?
Mm-hmm.
You have to just say, no, it was 2. I said hot dog, hamburger. Damn it. So that one, I guess, is maybe a little hard. But generally, I can memorize 6 things really fast by going, hot dog, hamburger, salad, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then they go, where was this one? And in my head, I just have to go, hot dog, hamburger, okay, hamburger, whatever. But the memory one in this one, it was like, in Crash Bandicoot, the Ooga Booga.
I love those fucking games.
Right. So the Ooga Booga mask thing?
Yeah.
So it was like 6 different variations of one of those masks. And so there's no hot dog, hamburger, but mask.
Yeah.
Where was the mask? Oh shit.
Well, this is an easy game, 1 through 6, whichever one you want.
Right. And I got it right because it was 6, and when they go away. They kind of go away in order instead of all going away at once. It goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that was the last one I saw before they brought up the question. So that was the only reason I knew it.
Okay.
But the guy missed it. So I guess it's a little harder in the Circle of Samurai. But I mean, if you get through all, like I said, they're $2,500 each for those. So you would think if you got all 10, that's $25,000. But no, they quadruple that bad boy.
Hell yeah.
Up to $100K.
Hell yeah.
So, and that's on top of the $10K or whatever you are already previously won. Maybe, $4,500 or something if you only got 9.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then, no matter what, if you're the guy in the Circle of Samurai or gal, ladies can win too.
But only if you're a robot.
Yes, if you're Ava. You get to come back, like I said, compete with the reigning samurai in the next week's episode. And if you win again, you go back into the 100th. So, I mean, you can win $110,000 every week if you want to.
That's pretty crazy.
And if you're really good.
If you are truly a mental samurai.
Here's the thing about this show that stood out to me.
Yeah.
Aside from the other things that we've talked about, that drove me absolutely fucking insane.
It's like every time I pick a show, you shit all over it.
Because you pick the bad ones. So here's the thing. Like I said, they've got 10 questions. They've got 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They have the questions up there. There's a little lever. I forgot to mention the lever.
Yes.
So what you've got to do is you say your answer and then you say lock it in and you pull the lever.
Right.
To lock in your answer. Pretty much across the board, every single person that I saw competing on this show. And remember, there is a timer going while you are in there.
Yeah.
They would get the question, and it would be like, put these 3 mountain ranges in order from west to east. And it would say, like, Appalachian Mountains, Alps, Rocky Mountains. And so, immediately, I would go, if I were competing on this show, I would go, Rocky Mountains, Appalachian Mountains, Alps. Lock it in. What the people on this show do, with the timer going, they go, okay, so the Alps, I know the Alps are in Europe. So that's going to be to the east. And then the Rocky Mountains, like Colorado, yeah, so they're in Colorado, so that's west. The Colorado Rockies, I know that's the baseball team. So yeah, that's west there. And then the Appalachian Mountains isn't that like, that documentary I saw in West Virginia, the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. Mm-hmm. That's a good documentary. Yeah, that's where the Appalachians are. So then it's going to be, the Rocky Mountains and then the Appalachian Mountains and then the Alps.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm going to say
you're out of
Rocky
time.
Mountains, Appalachian Mountains, Alps, lock it in.
Yeah, and you're out of time.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? There's a timer going. And they're telling their goddamn life stories. Across the board, everybody was doing this. Everybody.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
Wait, you're just mad that they didn't know it faster?
No, I don't need to hear about the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia right now. I need you to go, Rocky Mountains. Okay, Rocky Mountains, Appalachian Mountains, Alps. Like, even if you have to think about it for a second, people are they're going off on tangents. Yep, I loved this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, people say shit like that. And I'm like, there's a timer running and it could cost you $100,000.
I hear you. I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one.
Don't you dare.
Because Rob Lowe brought almost nothing to this show.
It was rough.
Except his name and likeness and face. So I hear you. It was annoying. It was a stupid strategy. But God, somebody had to bring some sort of extra content instead of just someone answering questions.
Because here's the problem.
In a ball.
Here's the problem with the whole setup of the show. And granted, I'm sure there was no audience for this last season, which is the one that's available on Hulu that we were able to watch.
Yeah.
There's no audience in Lisbon. So they have like fake hollow cheers in the background every once in a while. But there's the very awkward when they start, because these people are already strapped into this little capsule.
Yeah.
And Rob Lowe is on like a elevated stage thing in the midst of the 4 towers. And So they are swung up in front of Rob Lowe. They're sitting in their little Superman ride thing.
Yeah.
And Rob Lowe's like, oh, so you're from Columbus, Ohio. What do you do there in Columbus? Well, I'm a fashion model and blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I can tell. Are you 16 yet? And and they have the little like back and forth introductory phase. And they're like, all right, are you excited for this? Blah, blah, blah. And again, like if there's jokes and banter, there's no audience reaction to it because we're in this weird void. And then once it's like, all right, Ava, fire it up, they start going and they're swinging around this world answering these questions that the robot woman is asking them. And then Rob Lowe is just off on the elevated stage over here. And so it's like they're answering the questions. And then we like cut to Rob Lowe going, like nodding because he's not asking them the questions.
No.
He's not telling them whether they're right or wrong.
Keep an eye on the time.
He'll literally be like, all right, you got to pick up the pace here. We got to pick up the pace. Those are like the only things that he ever says.
Yeah.
Because of the way the format is, it's not conducive to the host doing fucking anything. So it's just like you get awkward interactions with Rob Lowe talking to somebody sitting in a baby carrier, and it's just a little weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. Something that was kind of weird to me that I didn't really like is there was a guy on the show. I watched the first episode of the second season.
Okay.
Did you watch that one?
No.
Okay. So there's a guy, and his background is that he was in foster care from ages 3 to 14, and then he was adopted by an all-white family. He's a black guy, which I didn't know why he specified that. But
all white, he said?
Yeah, but I guess they popped up a picture, so...
Okay.
But anyway, he tells Rob Lowe he's been in foster care. He was in foster care from 3 to 14, and Rob Lowe goes, you were in foster care from ages 3 to 14? Those are formative years. And the guy goes, I know. And Rob Lowe goes, why are you successful?
What?
I think what he meant was like, you overcame a lot.
Right.
It's really hard to grow up in foster care. How did you get through it or something? But he worded it, why are you successful?
Why are you successful?
And he goes, because a white family adopted me. No, he didn't say that. He was just like, hard work and getting through it. And he was like, I think he said my mom was really influential. She helped me out a lot. But I was just like, ugh, Rob.
Oh, Rob.
I do want to piggyback onto what you said. I thought the spinning chair was cool, but it seemed just disconnected from any part of the show.
Yes.
Didn't make any sense.
Yes.
It seemed like a unique gimmick that they used to make the show stand out, but it offered nothing in terms of heightening my enjoyability.
Right. I think okay, so if you remove Ava from this game.
Oh, so you want to cut the woman's job?
Yes. So if you remove Ava, this rotating capsule from the game.
Oh, the capsule itself. Okay.
Yes, the whole entire idea.
The robot.
The entire idea of the moving around. If you remove that from the game and you say, all right, there's a game show and we ask people 10 pretty simple questions that they have 5 minutes to answer.
Yeah.
That sounds good, like a good show, right?
No,
not really. And so they're like, okay, well, what if they're on a little thing and they move around between the questions? And they go, oh, that does sound like a good show.
I'll give you $40 million to make that show.
I don't think that it adds anything really. And so if you remove that and just think of what the show is, nobody would ever want to do or watch that show.
Yeah. Well, it was the same as Cherry's Wild. It was like, okay, these people
the world's
go on.
Biggest slot
There's
machine.
the biggest slot machine. You get to pull it. And they were like, that sounds retarded. And they go, Jason Biggs is the host. And they go,
that makes sense.
Make it.
Yeah. So I don't know. What are your likes and dislikes? Do you have any?
Well,
any
I kind of ran through the dislikes there. My likes are that Rob Lowe is calm, collected, and a pretty good conversationalist. He's great at the quick background introduction stuff at the beginning because he's very comfortable speaking with strangers and he's good on the camera.
Yep.
I did like that you could win in 2 ways, either by answering more questions or answering the same amount in a faster time. I thought the pacing of the show was fine. They get through the 5 people pretty quickly. And I learned a cool little fact, which I thought was neat. I learned that Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers and not a pack.
You thought it was pack?
Did you not think it was pack?
No.
Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers.
Picked a peck. A peck is like a unit of measurement.
For what? Peppers only?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never used peck have you ever used the word peck?
No.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, it's like a unit of measurement.
Okay,
it probably means like 16 peppers or some shit like that.
So it is only for peppers.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's for other.
Peck. Strike or bite something with its beak.
That's a different use of.
I don't think
verb.
so.
We need the noun.
Hold on, I'll look it up.
You're struggling. Like how many?
You go over your.
Just say how many. Because isn't the follow up? How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick?
Yeah.
So just Google like what's a peck.
A unit of capacity equal to a quarter a bushel.
See, quarter of a bushel.
Oh yeah, you knew that, right? Because you said it wasn't about.
But I did know it because there's also the song, from Guys and Dolls. I love you, a bushel and a peck, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck.
So he's saying her.
It's units of measurement.
So he's saying he loves her 1 1/4
1 1/4 bushels.
That's stupid.
It's the perfect amount of love.
That's so. That's so dumb. Anyway, I still think it's talking about birds pecking, but sure.
Hug around the neck and a barrel and a heap. A barrel and a heap as well.
I guarantee you that means 1 1/4 barrels.
He loves her 1 1/4
of everything.
Which
is that's kind of the synonymous with like, I need you to go into this game, I need you to give 110%. And you're like, I love you 1 1/4.
Well, that's even more than 110% though. So honestly, it's more.
That's
impressive.
true. 125%.
Yeah. So how would you make this show better, or what did you dislike? Did we get to that?
Yeah, we did. I talked about my dislikes.
Yeah.
I would obviously bring in a real samurai to throw ninja stars at the contestants, and they lose $10 every time a star sticks into their body.
Okay, that's elaborate.
And I would remove Rob Lowe. I would have an actual, authentic samurai be the host of the show.
Okay.
And from their little...
And would it be like Iron Chef? Would they just be speaking Japanese and we would get subtitles?
We wouldn't get subtitles.
Okay.
No,
I like it even better.
It'd be like the SNL sketch where Chris Farley goes into the Japanese game show and has no idea what's going on. That's what I want.
I like it.
And all the questions are in Japanese as well.
Okay, that's fair. I think what I would do as a realistic Make It Better is like, if you're going to have this thing, I want them like jostled around. I want them like upside down having to read the question. Like make it a part of the challenge instead of like, whoa. Okay, next question. Whoa. Next question. Like,
yeah,
it's just useless to me.
And
it doesn't add anything.
I know that they have that capability because one of the contestants on that episode I watched could not figure out that a star and $2 was Starbucks for the entire 5 minutes
on the puzzle tower.
So Rob said, Ava, give her a little shake up. And while she's watching the question, the thing kind of moved back and forth and gave her a little jostle because he thought that would help her, I don't know, think of
weird.
But anyway, so they have, it's not like Ava can only
do, they can do a little more.
So I know she can.
That's weird. That's weird.
I like the upside down idea. That would be very difficult.
Thank you. Make it a challenge. Make this thing that you have relevant.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts. Okay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
How many?
One buzzer.
I give it 2.
Whoa.
I thought
generous.
I think it was fun. It was fun. I mean, it wasn't fun. It was fine to watch. And Rob was just a fine.
He's fine.
We've had plenty of hosts that are just there and
they're
responsible
like
for reminding you how shitty you're doing or that you have less
pick
time.
up the pace. That was the only thing I ever fucking heard him say. I gotta pick up the pace. Oh, you're doing great. Pick up the pace.
Yeah.
All right. So that is Mental Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a game show on Fox. Maybe it'll be back for another season. If not, you can watch season 2 on Hulu right now. If that sounded interesting to you.
After we just shit all over it.
So, I mean, sometimes I watch movies that have really bad reviews.
Like what?
A lot of stuff. I own a lot of bad movies.
Name one bad movie that you watch.
That I watch?
that you've watched.
That I've watched.
Yeah.
Well, there's this guy named Andy Sedaris that makes really bad movies that I've watched almost every single movie that he's
Is this
made.
the guy that was responsible for showing hot girls on Jumbotrons?
Yes, that's the guy.
Okay, got it. You didn't. So what did you expect going into his movies? Or they're cult bad, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a following.
Like one of them was on How Did This Get Made podcast.
So it was.
So I kind of watched it so I could listen to that podcast and like enjoy it along with them.
Got it.
And then I kept going after that because there's kind of a through story throughout all the movies, but it's very loose, very, very, very loose.
Yeah. Is it just one of the characters has the same name throughout?
No. So in the first one, the main character is a guy named like Cody Abilene. Whoa, your stomach's going crazy there. And then in the second movie, the main character is a guy named Rowdy Abilene.
Jesus.
And then in the third one, there's somebody else Abilene. And then I think by the fourth one, they stopped the charade of having a male main character, and it's just a bunch of hot girls with big tits.
So weird that you like this.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Mental Samurai. That's Rob Lowe for you.
Mm-hmm.
He's recovered from his 16-year-old sex tape scandal.
Yep.
And good for him. I hope we could all come back from that.
I don't think it would have been a thing nowadays.
You don't think he'd come back from that now?
Nope.
Yeah. Well, the internet is a thing now.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. That's another episode of Come On Down the Game Show podcast. Subscribe, listen, tell your friends.
Yeah. Tell your
I don't know. I don't want to tell you what to do. Do whatever you want.
This is a parent-friendly podcast.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to say just before we sign off,
Unless you're the parent of a 16-year-old girl.
I will challenge anybody.
Dude, your stomach is going insane.
I will challenge anybody to a cookie eating contest, male or female.
Wow.
And I'm not going to kiss you afterwards either.
I'll pet your dog, though.
I will. I will pet that dog so hard. Your dog's going to love me, unless I accidentally feed him some of those chocolate Oreos.
All right, I'm cutting it off right now.
Okay.